Okay, in some of your scenes you may need to constrain the text within it so that you can keep certain proportions under control and or a certain amount of characters under control. So one way that we can do this is to use a plugin called the max size. And if we go into our plugins folder, within the tools folder, there is a plugin called the max size, and we can drag this on any one of our font containers and it will help us constrain proportions here. If I only want this text to reach a certain size and then have it shrink down so that someone can fit all of the characters or necessary information in the text, that's what you can use the max size for. So for example, we have our text here, and by default with our max size on it, if I come in and change this type, you can see that we can keep going and eventually it starts to shrink down. I'm going to delete some of this text here and we'll type in our max size. Now we'll go into the max size plugin here, and what we have is a default X scale and a default Y scale, which we're going to leave as is at the moment. We also have a max size, so we want to tell this what max size variable we want to use, and in this case we want to use the X size. We also have a max width, which is set to 1000 by default. Let's change this to 400. And now when we come back into our text box and start typing again, it's going to reach at the 400 point because we changed our max width to 400. Now when it gets to 400, it's going to start to shrink. And as we keep continuing to type in there, it's going to shrink more and more. Now it's only shrinking on the one side, so you can change the proportion of how it scales as well. If we change the scale Y, that means it's going to scale these texts proportionately now. So as we come in and delete the text, you can see that it's not just scrunching it up on the Y, but on the X and Y. Now you also have your default X scale and your default Y scale. So this just sets the scaling parameters of how you want it to start and or end. If you only want it to follow within certain parameters, set it within your default X scale and Y scale. Finally, you do have an initialized text scale. If your scene doesn't take, at first you just hit the initialized text scale and that was it. Now anytime anyone comes into your scene here and just types in, it's going to constrain the proportions.